So we're always told, officially, that women are these constant victims, this damsel in distress, and men are bad people. And we rule the world apparently, but strange enough, we don't seem to rule the world in our favour. For instance, if you walk across to Oxford Circus, you will see all those different stores. They have 5 floors of stuff for women, and at the top, they make you go all 5 floors before they let you buy anything. You'll find some sensible trousers with pockets in them. Sensible work trousers. Now, ladies' trousers, for instance, can you just turn sideways? Thought so, right. Ladies' trousers do not have pockets in them on the whole. Now, the reason for that is, the advertising message is if you have skin-tight, nice trousers, you will not need pockets, because women will buy everything you need. So when you go out in the evenings, you don't need the pockets. See how it works? What women do, they like to flatter us and tell us we're really in charge, but we're not. Because we're only in charge when they tell us. See, she's laughing, she knows, she knows. Yeah, she knows. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how we are all, to a greater or lesser extent, my magazine's fallen to bits here, brainwashed by the media. This is the Evening Standard, which is the most popular magazine in London, and it's given out to us and we just don't really quite notice what's truly being said in it, because the messages are quite subtle. On the front cover it basically says the future of London or something of that sort. Has 2 women on it. Now, it's interesting, whenever they talk about the future, they always have women, but they never have men. Now, the reason for this, strangely enough, is the advertisers believe women are easier to manipulate than men, both politically and when it comes to buying things. Which is why you have the 5 floors of stuff to buy it from. You see, the advertisers work better on you. Anyway, so we open it up and we find our first advertisement for women, which is Cate Blanchett looking beautiful in a very executive and rather stern way. Now, the interesting thing about this is, although she's obviously some business person, there's one thing missing. She doesn't have bags under her eyes and she doesn't look exhausted. That's because in order to become a top business executive, you need to work 12-hour days. But what both the advertisers and feminism sells to women is the illusion that it is possible to be an executive on a major city bank, for instance, and not work the 12 hours. What you can do is be like Cate Blanchett, who spent all her time in the beauty salon and not actually doing her work.
Working half the time.
So first of all, the advertisers come along and they tell women this lie, and then the feminists come along and say, ooh, yes, and I'm feminist, and then they say, okay, carry on believing this lie. We're going to make sure that it's possible to become a top executive without doing any real work, because we're going to introduce quotas, which means that in real life, you can sit around in a beauty salon. More stuff for women, my Burberry, a little bit of pretend lesbianism. Nothing speaks. That's right. There's nothing that speaks about empowerment. Oh, by the way, I'm not having a go at lesbians. I'm very much in favour of lesbians. Oh yeah, sure. I've done a great deal of research on the subject. If you see my DVD collection, at home, you'll see I've studied the subject of lesbianism in great detail, and I absolutely approve on it. The feminists, by the way, say that when a man sees a woman who's a lesbian, he feels threatened. I can promise you that it makes me feel many, many, many things, but certainly not threatened. Anyway,
They're free. Get 2.
another advertisement for women. Looks quite sweet until you look a bit closer. It holds a hidden message, like all of these.
That rose.
The rose, she is pulling the rose to pieces.
Oh!
Once you realise she's pulling the rose to pieces, look at her face again, and she has got a somewhat predatory snarl. She looks like a lioness
So she's
with an antelope.
she's taking.
So this is what it does. The advertiser basically says, be sexy, be desirable, and through desirability comes power and wealth without any further effort.
Quite a lot of it.
It's a lie. More stuff for women, this time jewellery, stuff to smear on your face to make you beautiful. Ridiculous, doesn't it? Okay. Ridiculous shoes. Now, if you show a woman a ridiculous pair of shoes like this, they often come up and say something quite extraordinary. They say, oh, it's social pressures. It's men who make us wear these shoes. It's the evil patriarchy. Well, my question to them is, they'll appear sooner or later. They'll appear. My question to them is, who exactly is making you wear beautiful shoes, and what will they do to you if you don't wear the beautiful shoes? It is not patriarchy, it is not social pressures. You wear beautiful shoes because you like beautiful shoes. The empty promises continue. Apparently, if you are sufficiently beautiful, according to the media, you can spend all your time in parties, eating, drinking, and pretending to be a lesbian once again. It's fashionable. More stuff for women. More stuff for women. Now, the one thing the media likes to do is they like to tell us about our life. They are a greater expert on our life than we are. So let's see what it tells us about our life. What do post-party threesomes, Jeremy Corbyn and ghosting have in common? They're all part of being a 20-something Londoner today. So, there we have it from the Evening Standard, owned by an admitted former KGB agent. Everybody under or in their trenches votes for Jeremy Corbyn. Never mind about what Jeremy Corbyn stands for. They have such a deep contempt for the public. They say, vote for Jeremy Corbyn, darlings. Don't worry about what he actually stands for. Don't worry about his policies. Don't worry your prison head with that. All the fashionable people are voting for him, so you should do the same. Anyway, we've got more and more perfumes, more and more of the same. I'll give you a short version here because my fingers are getting numb. And more lesbians. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if the media wishes to sell you something, you must first steal your happiness. If you are a totally happy, content person, you can't be sold crap. And the same thing happens with politics. Unless you're convinced either that you're ugly and need to smear something on your face, or you're ugly and you need to buy expensive clothes to look beautiful, you won't buy them. Now, you won't actually buy a political ideology unless that ideology can convince you that you're oppressed by these big, nasty men. Now, we've already touched upon this. We must ask ourselves why all these advertisements are aimed at women and not at men. Now, the secret and the reason is that women have greater disposable income than men. We've already touched upon that. You've got to store 5 floors stuff for women, 1 floor stuff for men. But then again, the feminists will say, well, isn't it true that men earn more money? Well, actually, men do earn more money over a lifetime because we don't have babies and because we do the more dangerous jobs. You see men hanging on scaffolding, you see men going to Iraq, you see men doing these dirty, dangerous, unpleasant jobs. And so we earn more money.
There's no love
But women spend more money. How is that?
They're better than men.
It's because men give their money to women. If a man is dating a woman, he is far more likely to pay for the dates than the woman the other way around. Sometimes happens, very rarely. If he gets married, he is far more likely to support a woman than the woman supporting the man. If they, God help them, get divorced, the woman gets everything. But if they don't get divorced and they live to a ripe old age, the man would die at an earlier age than the woman, because men do die at an earlier age than women, and men, generally speaking, marry women younger than themselves, so he'll die and she'll get everything anyway. So if the feminists were remotely interested in equality, I tell you what they'd do. They'd organise a whip round right now, they'd get all the women to contribute some money and they'd divvy it out amongst the men. Of course they never do that, because they have no interest whatsoever in equality. They want to be precious little princesses looked after with all the same rights as somebody who wasn't a precious princess. Total hypocrisy. So, women spend more money than men even though they earn less of it. There are other ways too that women have superior legal rights to men, in fact every way. Presently, despite the fact that women often take a chunk of their life in the middle from earning, women retire at an earlier age than men, receive the same state pension despite having contributed less for it, even though women live to a greater age than men. The woman is convicted of a crime, she will go to prison on average 1/3 less long than a man who is convicted of the same crime. She'll go to a prison under better conditions, she's more likely to be released early. I mean, she receives better assistance upon leaving prison than a man would. There are even certain crimes which aren't crimes when a woman commits them. For instance, if a man here kills his own child, it's murder. Whereas a woman kills her own child, it's not murder. It's still illegal, something called infanticide. The logic being...
a suffix that means...
No, it's infanticide. The logic behind that is if a woman murders her own child, she must be insane at the time, because women are such angelic, beautiful, perfect creatures. Whereas a man, if he kills his own child, it must be murder, because it's quite natural, quite completely normal for a man to murder his own child, because men are just like that. They like murdering children.
Have you been through a bad divorce or something?
I went through a very good divorce because I didn't believe in the system. I played it for my own advantage.
Where do you get these weird ideas that a woman is not accused of killing her own child?
She is. It's infanticide. You look it up on the internet. There are a lot of things I would tell you that seem quite unlikely to you. I don't expect you to believe them because I say it. But if you have any curiosity about the subject, look it up, find out about yourself. Look up infanticide. You'll see that if a woman kills her own child, infanticide. A man kills his own child, it's murder. Facts. They seem strange to you. It seems strange to me. It happens to be true.
It is true.
It is true. Men, lower paid men in particular, will pay more income tax for the money they earn, regardless of income, than a woman will. The way it works is income tax, working tax credits. Now, you receive working tax credits if you earn more, if you work more than a certain number of hours, you get a certain amount of money. But it's 16 hours a woman and it's 35 for a man. I was at work, I was having trouble getting enough hours, and the women at my workplace said, why don't you get working tax credits? We all get it. So I went along to the tax office and said, oh, can I have working tax credit, please? She said, how many hours do you work? I said, it's about 30. She said, you can't have it. I said, exactly, that's exactly what she said. Because the women were getting it at 16.
Can I ask
so I
you,
said in a totally, no you can't. I said in a totally calm
she
way.
doesn't get it either.
Well, why is that? Why is that? And she said to me, well, put it this way, how many pairs of shoes do you have? I said, I have 3. And she said, I have nearly 400.
Are you a frustrated
That was her
author who can't do
reason.
anything except sit
That
up
was
here
her
and shoot
reason for women paying less tax for the same income. Now, interestingly enough,
doesn't set the tax rate.
the ruling
Random
people,
woman
the ruling class,
random when you
the
imagine.
people actually in charge, have made sure that if you earn sufficient money, very wealthy men who make these decisions actually aren't affected by the same regulations. They pay the same amount of tax as a woman, but it's only poor men who pay more tax than a woman with the same level of income.
That is
Again,
rubbish.
you can look it up. You can believe it or
That
not,
is
but you
absolute
cannot look it up.
Where can I look it up? Could you give a citation,
Rubbish.
please?
Look up. All you do is you Google working tax credits. That's all you have to
The
do.
first thing comes
How
up and
about-
says
how
women
about-
get a good deal, men get a shit.
You have to do a bit of work.
Googling
You have to do a bit of work.
MRC. How about
Now, one.
Googling the tax office and actually
Yeah,
saying,
I'm really
if
not
I make
remotely
£1,000,
interested in
how
you.
much do I
I'm really
pay in
not
tax?
remotely interested in you.
Whether I'm a man or a woman.
Let's actually try and look and
Yeah,
see if
let's-
we can see
let's
some
look at
way
some
out
truth,
of this
shall we?
morass.
More ass, more on, more like it.
What we need, what we are looking for is legal and financial equality between men and women. If a man commits a crime, he should go to prison for the same length of time as a woman would for the same
Are you
crime.
one of these
If a man committed a
idiots who go
crime,
scaling
if a man
Buckingham
commits a
Palace
crime,
saying you
like
wanna have
murder his
access
own
to your child?
he should be treated legally in exactly the same way as a woman would. If a man is sent to prison, within prison, he should be treated the same within a prison
But you
as
want
the woman
sanitary
was.
tolls?
A man should pay the same tax as a woman, be subject to the same laws, and the
about
same regulations,
pay more tax because of the
and the
pay
same
gap, right?
opportunities. Why not, just for the sake of argument, why not have a few men in government offices? You look through the window of a government office, it's all, well, I would say at least 90%
can't
of
dictate
people
to
in
who
there
applies
are
for a
women.
job.
Why not actually, if we're going to
man
have
doesn't apply
equal
for the job and a woman
opportunities,
does.
why not
Who gets the
actually
job?
start having equal opportunity within government
Fickle you are.
offices?
All our party leaders, they're all female, right, aren't they? And the cabinet, that's mostly female, right? And FTSE 100.
That's very, very interesting. I'll tell you what, the worst and most stupid feminists are actually men.
The worst most of the feminists.
It's true. What we generally find
and I'm mistaken.
is I find more women willing to accept equality
mistaken
between
about the
men
gender of that
and
Prime
women
Minister?
than I do men. The reason being is a man, by being a male feminist, can feel very much like a heroic white knight. I am the only
back to the
good man
internet, you
around here.
troglodyte.
I am the only good man around here. Trust me, basically it's a sexual play. A woman, on the other hand,
Dark, man.
has a moral choice.
Look at some dark.
Now, when you realise that you have a legally privileged existence and that you have quotas, which mean that you can succeed in careers, even if you have no talent for them, you have a moral question. Do I wish to be pandered to as the weaker sex, or do I wish to be treated as an equal and respected? So that's the question I put to you. The question actually was originally formulated by Margaret Thatcher, a woman, of course, who feminists actually hate, even though she's probably the most successful woman in this country. That's right, that's right. The question she asks to feminists, it gets to the core of the matter, is: are you a merit woman or are you a quota woman? So that's the question. Do you want to do you want to achieve something in life based upon your talent, upon your hard work and your aptitude? Or do you wish to be given a job that you're not qualified for and you can't actually do, and then have some man actually do it for you because he feels sorry for you, and you get the money at the end of the week? Now, on the whole, the political left would prefer the second system. I'm putting it to you that the way to find self-respect and respect in the eyes of men is to actually do your own work and get jobs on the basis of
You lose your job to a woman
on the basis of
because
hard
you were
work
incompetent and she wasn't.
and because of the qualifications you have, not because some male feminist in authority feels sorry for you because he thinks you're the weaker sex and you need to be pitied and you're being oppressed by somebody. That's the question I wish
Did you
to put
lose your
to you.
job to a woman somewhere
Are
along
you
the line
a
and you have
merit
to
woman,
stand here and spout
or
this
are
rubbish?
you a quota woman?
Good Lord.
Now, I'm going to try and look into the future. Whenever you look into the future, there is always the risk of being wrong, and I'm being filmed, so that might be the case.
I'm being filmed too. Big deal. Doesn't bother me. Does it bother you?
According to him, you're already wrong, so don't worry.
18 months ago, it was almost impossible to say what I'm saying at the moment. People
are
would
you
not
saying?
listen, and they genuinely just
What are
start
you gonna
shouting
say? Go on.
and not engage their minds. Now, it is possible to have a rational conversation.
Not with you, it
Strangely
isn't.
enough, more with women than with men.
What was the last conversation you had with a woman?
I predict
them,
that within
obviously.
6 months,
Are you being charged with something?
I predict that within 6 months we will have, for the first time in this country, a right-wing opposition. Something along the lines of the Tea Party in the United States.
Which United
I predict within 3 years we're going to have vicious hand-to-hand combat within the Conservative Party as to whether the Conservative Party wishes to be conservative or not.
You know who I
Within
am?
5
They don't do
years,
hand-to-hand
we
combat.
will have
I am
the
the next
possibility
Obama. I am
of
next Obama.
voting
I will be the
for a
president.
Conservative Prime Minister for the first time any of us have ever had the chance to do so. Don't tell me David Cameron's Conservative. He's not. He's involved in something he calls
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
triangulation.
Thank you very much. He's talking real. Thank you very much. No, what he's talking real.
It's basically a
He's talking
con trick.
real. I like him now. I like him now.
What this means
Honestly.
is he calls himself
Honestly, I like him now.
Conservative,
The way he's
he wears his blue tie, he says he's a member of the Conservative Party, and then panders to the left. In this way, he hopes to both hoodwink the right and the political left simultaneously and create a coalition which allows him to remain in power. But something very interesting has been happening, not just during the last 5 years, but actually 10 or 15 years. The political elites have continuously moved to the left because the left has, you know, basically more money for them to play with and more money for them to steal.
Well-known left-wing.
Whereas the political right, whereas the public has been moving steadily to the right. What I predict is that within this country,
You're opposite.
this triangulation process is going to break down. We're going to have, for the first time in any of our lifetime, a genuine choice between right and left. And I predict even
Triangles
further
have 3 points.
is that we are actually out of this battle. The right will win.
We're all going to be saying Sig Heil.
Fragments of the left,
I always suspected you were a Christian.
fragments of the left will then form their own political party that is socialist but based upon truth. Because the struggle we are now facing is not in reality between right and left. It's between honesty and faking.
We know which
Because
side
the
you come
political
down
left
on.
is entirely based upon virtue signaling. They like to go around saying, I'm a good person because I'm a male feminist and I hate my genitalia. You know there's more than you can trust me for that reason.
They're usually
But on the other hand, this
transgenders.
so-called political rights is based upon the notion of calling things what they are and honesty.
You had just admitted you're a transgender.
If something's wrong, we say it's wrong. If something's right, we say it's right. We don't look over our shoulders to see if somebody's like to approve of us. We speak the truth. And it's not always popular. But there are more of us than there were 18 months ago, and in 18 months
The good
there'll be
Christians
even
here are
more.
going to bring the heavens down upon you.
Now, my throat is getting a bit soft, my throat is getting a bit rough here, so I'm going to step down and allow somebody else to stand who has more to say than I do. Thank you.